excited to have you on stage, and you'll take it away. Thank you.
And this I need as well, yes. Very good. So we thought after almost spending the entire day listening to customer stories, at some point at the Unblu Impact Day, Unblu actually should also present some of the product innovations. So today we give you an insight of how we have evolved our product since our last Impact Day and what you can look forward to in the future. Enabling and creating the ultimate in-person experience in digital channels is at the core of what we do at Unblu. Be that through written messages in one of our messaging channels, with collaboration tools such as co-browsing, co-apping that we've seen a very nice use case today, or the document collaboration, our secure video and voice capability, or our branch feature that connects physical locations to the digital channels. I assume, or we've seen that many of you already have one of these channels established, and if you leave the Impact Day today not inspired to maybe also start implementing some of these channels, hopefully with also our product innovation session, we can give you some more arguments to actually jump on the train. Once these digital channels are established, Unblu can add additional layers of intelligence to the conversations that happen on the channels, be it by integrating additional systems into the user journey, by making the data available that we can collect from the data from the conversations and actually prepare it in a way so that you can leverage it to steer and manage your business, and using AI to supercharge your teams. Not to forget is the pillar on the left side. We make sure that we stay on top of compliance and regulatory requirements that you have to meet. So we make sure that when you use Unblu, you are in compliance with, for example, GDPR or the Accessibility Act. And also we want to make sure that you have the right option available that suits your needs when it comes to deploying our solution. We now give you an insight of how we have added value to each of these pillars and layers throughout the last 12 months, and also give you an outlook on our roadmap, which is not only driven by us, but heavily also influenced by the ideas and requests that we get from our customer and partner base. And with that, David, can you tell us what we did for messaging?
Yes, I'd love to, if you give us the next. Perfect. So we've done a couple of things. We talked about deputies and assistants quite a bit today. So there were a couple of our customers with Safra and Unica saying, hey, this has been a real improvement. So we already have had deputy management for a while, but we've introduced additional features. And the background is our deputy management was mainly built for new conversations starting, but what do we do with conversations that are pre-created, that exist for a longer time? How do we handle situations where maybe the CRM is not available, is on vacation? How do we make sure the customer is still being taken care of? Or how do we handle situations of always having the same assistant in the conversation that you want to have them in? So these are areas where we've done quite a few improvements. Another thing is that last year we showed you the live translation of the video call, which is a great feature and was a wonderful addition. But at the same time, actually, in text conversations, it's even more needed to have translations, because when you're talking about support, you have people from so many different countries coming in, asking questions, and the agents in the background trying to help them often will not be able to answer those questions just because they don't speak the language. So we also spend some time to really directly integrate the translation feature into the product. And we also spend quite a bit of time talking to customers, doing usability tests. And the interesting thing is, one usability test we ran through the whole test, and sort of at the end of the test, we were asking the person we were testing, like, you know, what language do you think you were talking? And the agent was, yeah, I mean, I was talking German all the time, of course. And they didn't even see that the customer was talking a different language the whole time. It felt so native for them that it was just perfectly a normal chat for them, not even seeing that it was live translated in both directions. Additionally, we've been working on a long waited feature, full text search, being able to really get the information of the conversation that you had with the customer at some point in time. You don't remember when, you don't remember where it was exactly, but you know what you said. Being able to search that data and find the right conversation, even if you did typos or you're searching for something a little bit different. And this is a really important ground pillar, because we were just talking about getting the data ready. I mean, especially when we're also talking about AI integration, AI capability, you need to have the data ready. You need to have the tools to find the right data, the right maybe messages inside of a conversation or transcript in a call. And this is what we've built into the system now, which we can use directly in our front ends, but we can also make available for AI services. And then lastly, also something that's been requested quite a bit is compliant message deletion. Now, saying, hey, can we delete messages in a chat sounds like the most easiest thing you could do. It's like you put a delete button there, you click on the delete button, and it's gone. It's like, this is not complicated, right? Well, it isn't until you start building this for a bank. Because the bank will say, yeah, sure, that's what it should look like for the customer, but you know, when the auditor comes, he has to be able to see what was written there, because a message cannot just disappear, because we're going to be in trouble if the customer says they said something, now it's suddenly deleted, etc., etc. Then you want to say, well, okay, maybe the customer shouldn't see it, but maybe the banker should still be able to see it. We have to define who should be able to delete a message, etc., etc. So there's a lot going on with a very simple feature where you would think this is built in one day to make it actually work for the financial industry. And we have accomplished this now with, I think, a very strong feature that a lot of our customers are going to enjoy. So back to you, Selina.
Good, then we look at what we are working on right now. Now, with more conversations taking place in the digital space, we have the opportunity to use technology to keep track of what was discussed in a consistent manner. So for this, we are introducing conversation summary powered by AI. This AI agent or service, whatever you want to call it, can automatically summarize written interactions, but also calls, and with that, reduce the amount of time advisors or agents have to spend to prepare customer interactions and to wrap up those interactions. What is important is that even though we're using AI to power this capability, we make sure that the human always stays in control, so that there is always an advisor, before, for example, the summary is shared with a customer, has the option to edit it, or the same before it is processed for storage into a CRM. And then we understand that often the conversations that take place through Unblu can contain highly confidential information. And as banks, you want to make sure that this information is not just accessible to anybody within the bank. So for this, we will be introducing conversation labels and visibility rules based on these labels. And with that, you can get more control over who can access what type of conversations. And with that, making the solution more secure and robust. The flexibility is also an important component for our customers working with the queue. And there, we will soon introduce an additional layer of flexibility where you can define a skill-based routing, so that you can, for example, take into consideration the fluency of a language that your team members have and consider this in the dispatching of requests that come in.
All right. So another thing we've been talking quite a bit is the strong adoption of mobile. So we see more and more people wanting to do everything on their mobile phone. And we actually released our first version of the mobile SDK, I think about 8 years ago. And back then we released it, and for like 2 or 3 years, it was like, well, great, we implemented this, but nobody wants to use it. No customer is using it, because mobile wasn't important. Now, move forward 8 years, basically every new customer we have, and also almost all existing customers, have started integrating the mobile SDK, because mobile first has become really, really important. People want to do everything on their mobile phone. This is why we're looking into A, making the mobile experience better, but B, also bringing features onto mobile that we didn't have before, because it just wasn't really the use case, or not used that much. One of those examples is the mobile document collaboration, which in the past we didn't see a lot of traction on mobile, but now we see actually customers would like to go through a mobile PDF, CI report, their portfolio or something like that, with their bankers, being able to highlight content, even signing them right on their mobile phone, which is why we've added that directly into our mobile SDKs, allowing all of those features to be used not only on the desktop, but also on mobile. Another topic that we've been looking into quite a bit is the outbound conversations. So conversations that are not started by customers, but actually from the bank. And we've looked into general outbound conversations last year, but now this year what we've been doing is looking not only into like reaching out for marketing or sales purposes, but in other situations like co-browsing. And as a company, Unblu, we've always been doing co-browsing. And the very first feature we had was basically co-browsing, where you have a pin on your screen. The agent is on a phone. He tells the customer to click on a button on the website, enter the pin, co-browsing starts. Perfect. Well, this is perfect until sharing a pin through the phone with the customer is something you shouldn't be doing anymore. And we've been talking about compliance quite a bit, and we have quite a few countries, quite a few banks that are saying, you know, we tell our customers that we will never tell them a PIN or enter a PIN that we're giving them into our website. That's just a no-no, a no-go. So we cannot, even though this is all perfectly secure, we cannot have our agents give them a PIN, even if it's for co-browsing and everything is safe, and tell them to enter it in the banking website, because this is just something we don't want to do. So again, here we're now leveraging our outbound features, where you can just search for a customer that you have on the phone. You can also integrate that with your CRM if you already have that open. You click on one button, the customer on their end gets a push notification. They click on the push notification, and co-browsing starts. And you eliminate the need for passing pins and all of that stuff in between.
Good, and I continue right away on the topic of mobile devices becoming more and more important in our everyday life. You have just mentioned it, how mobile becomes more important. We've heard it in previous presentation. And luckily at Unblu we already have a really cool collaboration tool available, which is the co-apping that allows banks to guide the users where they find themselves. And we want to take it a step further. With AI becoming more powerful, we can actually go beyond the classical or the standard use cases of a chatbot where you have to write messages. And we can use it to visually guide the users directly within the mobile application. And with that, making help available whenever they need it, regardless if the bank support team is working or not. And the nice thing is that we also right away have the backup option available. So in case the AI is not able to solve a request from a request, it can seamlessly be transferred to a human agent who can then hopefully help to resolve the problem. Then we continue with Branch. We've also heard in previous presentation how human touch in banking still has a high importance. And for that, a lot of banks still have a physical network that they use to stay in touch with their customers and to also show presence. But keeping up this presence is showing or proving to become more and more difficult. And this is where the Branch capability can help. It can connect physical locations to the digital communication channels that we have in Unblu. Now, what came to Unblu as a standalone product offering as Unblu Branch has now been fully integrated into Unblu Spark. And with that, we can enable a seamless transfer from the physical world into the digital world. So a customer can walk into a physical branch, be greeted by an employee that is in the branch, maybe even be advised, but then the conversation can be seamlessly transferred, for example, into a secure messenger where the documents that were discussed in person can be shared in a safe place. With branch becoming part of the Unblu Spark platform, the use case can also benefit from all of the capabilities that the Unblu Spark already offers. So collaboration tools like co-browsing can be used. We can leverage the captions and live translation that is available for voice and video calls. And all of the AI capabilities that we are adding to our product as we speak can also be leveraged in the branch use case. Now we come to the layers of intelligence. We know that many of our customers prefer to integrate Unblu into their already existing portals and websites. They don't want to add yet another tool where their employees or customers have to log into and work with. And Unblu already offers a lot of capabilities to integrate it into other systems, but we understand that for some companies, this is not enough. They would like to have more control, more flexibility, how the digital channels are embedded into their customer journeys. And for this, we are introducing the Enterprise UX Kit, which will enable financial institutions to natively embed Unblu into their interfaces, both on the client side as well as on the employee side. And with that, they gain full control over the workflows, over the user experience, and the branding. So they can, for example, decide from where a conversation in a workplace can be initiated, how the messages are displayed. They can make sure that a consistent brand language is applied, so that for the same type of actions, the same kind of icons are displayed. And they will also be able to design more content-rich type of messages so that the content that they want to share with the customers can benefit from more visual content, such as graphs and images. Analytics. The topic of data has already been brought up by a couple of the presentations we've heard today. With the conversations taking place digitally, we can actually capture data around those conversations. And with the analytical capability that we are right now working on, we will make this data available for you to consume and work with. There will be two ways of how you can access the KPIs. One is in the agent desk or the advisory workbench, where you can configure it for your use cases and use it directly in our user interface. But we will also make the data available so that you can integrate it into an already existing BI system, so that you might even be able to combine it with other data that you already have at hand. When defining the KPIs, we're working closely with one of the customer advisory boards that was also mentioned by Luc this morning, because we want to make sure that the data we give you access to is the data you need to answer business relevant questions.
All right. Yeah, so when we're talking about AI, we're on a long story. And one of the steps in this story is basically realizing that we are working in the financial industry where a lot of our customers are very much using Microsoft stacks. So there's Microsoft Outlook, there's Microsoft SharePoint, and there's also Microsoft Copilot Studio. So we decided last year to make Microsoft Copilot Studio one of our first-class citizens in the Unblu platform. We created the ability to directly integrate Copilot Studio agents into the Unblu front end, use them customer-facing or also agent-facing, and have really a seamless integration there. At the same time, we've also been working on our suggestion feature where agents get suggestions based on questions from customers on how to answer. So one of the the key things that we saw there, so the first versions of our suggestions were sort of pull. So there's a question from a customer, the agent thinks, I think AI can help me there. They click on a button, they get a suggestion. Now, what we can see in the support use case is that support agents, they don't have time. They don't think, maybe AI can help me. I'm going to press the button and then wait for a couple of seconds until I get an answer. It doesn't work like that. They are measured by the time they need to answer questions, and they don't want to try new stuff that might make them slower, even though it is going to make them faster. So what we saw is we have to really move this pull into a push, into a automatically pushing those suggestions to the support agents. So when they see them, they're like, oh, well, I don't even have to start typing. This is actually the right answer. I can send it directly, or maybe I can change it a little bit and then send it. And we saw that this really is a big help in order to improve and push adoption and make this feature a lot more useful inside of that space. And then I would say let's do some demos. So we've seen a lot of slides, talked about a lot of stuff, but I'm from R&D, and we like to show what we do, and we hope that it's going to work, obviously. So let's look into a bit of a use case. So we're going to have a wealth management use case where I'm going to be the wealth manager. Selina is going to be a customer. But here and there, I'm going to sort of dabble out of wealth management and maybe show you a couple of small things here and there to just showcase the things that we've been working on. So right now, I have our agent advisor desk open here, and I have a normal working day. And I know that one of my colleagues, Hakan, is not in, and he's already told me that I might have to jump in for him as his deputy because he's going partying and I'm taking care of his customers. So that's how it works. And already now I can see there seems to be a request coming in here. It seems like I have something new coming here from Selina. It's delegated by Hakan. It's a direct request. And I can choose to maybe just take care of it later, or maybe first do a preview. But I know if I don't take care of her, Hakan's going to be mad at me. So I'll answer that. So as Selina is not my customer, the first thing that I'll do is I'm going to open here our new AI Assistant UI, and I'm going to get an overview of the client. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to do a quick check here, and I'm going to see that I'm actually not the only one in this conversation. Like we saw earlier, we have Hakan in here. He's going to be back in October, so I'm maybe going to take care of a lot of stuff. But also, we have someone else here, and that's a hidden participant. That's Yushi. And she's labeled as an assistant here, and this is because Hakan has made her his assistant, so any conversation that Hakan is in, Yushi will automatically be in. Now, but because Yushi is also a part of the party, she's also not here, but she said she can still take care of stuff. She still reads her messages, so maybe I can push something to her later on. So, actually, I should have said hello to Selina. I forgot to. Hello, I'm taking care of this as Hakan isn't around. And now I can sort of figure out who she actually is, see where she lives, some general information about her. Okay, seems to earn more than I do, so maybe I have to change my job. Maybe I can get some good tips from her, but right now it should be the other way around. She has some goals, and what we can see is it's pulling in different data here. We have data that's been taken from the CRM. We have data that's been taken from the conversations within Unblu, and it gives me also an overview of the topics that have been discussed lately in the last 4 conversations together with Hakan. So now let's do a second thing. As she here asked us to take care, she wants to look at her portfolio. Let's get an overview of her portfolio. Now I could just enter a message here, but because I'm lazy and I don't have time in this demo, I'm going to ask for a portfolio overview. And while we do that, we can see another thing, which is that you might have skipped that, but you can see that the message that she wrote here was actually originally in German, as Hakan and Selina both are Swiss German. They would sometimes communicate in German, but I can go here and see the original message, which is this one here, and I can go back and forth between German and English, and I have it automatically translated, because if I go into my profile and go into the language settings, you can see that translation is enabled for me. It should automatically translate into my agent desk language, which is English, and I want all languages translated. I can say here that maybe I speak some of these languages, so I don't want them translated, but for now I want every other language that is not English to be automatically translated for me. All right, so now let's see what our assistant has given us on Selina's portfolio. So we can get a bit of an overview here and see what she has, and maybe see what she actually wants us to review in the portfolio. But I can already see that it looks like the main holdings she has is in cash. So, Selina, do you have a question for me? Okay. Yes, she has too much cash. Well, I already saw that. So let's see. I'm going to use a canned response here because I don't want to type everything. But I wanted to mention something here quickly. So just to go back here, she had, how much was that? 300K in cash. So it looks like she has 300K in cash. And I'm going to add that here. And that's about a third of what she has here. And now, even though canned responses is something that's not used that much in wealth management, maybe more used in support, there are things that we keep looking into. And there's a lot of times there can be very small things that can be very annoying. And this is why for us it's really, really important to talk to our customers and also figure out what is working well for them and what isn't working well for them. So this is an example here that we had with the last UX interviews that we did, that the way that our canned responses here worked in the past was that these inputs had a fixed length. Now, if I have something long to enter here, very long stuff, this would just get truncated, and that would be not cool. So we did a change here so that whenever you write real long messages, they're just going to stay in line. Now, again, this is a very small change, but it makes a huge difference, because if you're working with this product every day and you use these canned responses every day, and every time you want to write something longer, it annoys you so much that you stop using it. This is not helping the people. And this is why it's so important for us to have our UX team talk to customers, talk to the agents actually using the product and learning these things, because for us it's a small change to do, but for them it's a big deal to improve stuff. So let's just send this like this to Selina. She's going to figure it out. Right, so we have too much cash, and she wants to see what the CIO would recommend now. Now, we could ask AI because it's in our system, but maybe it's not in our system because, as we also all know, integration sometimes takes a while, and sometimes not everything can be integrated day one. So I will just take the CIO update and send it to her. We could escalate this to a call, we could start co-browsing, and we could go through all of this together. But right now we don't have time to do this, so I won't. But what she would be interested in is likely like how her portfolio diverges from the CIO update. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to take that document and I'm going to ask the AI to give me a portfolio versus CIO target gap analysis. So while we're doing that, there's another thing that I wanted to quickly talk about. Again, this is something that's not necessarily wealth management, but it is also one of the small things that in the end really is important. So I have a friend here working in support, and he tells me he has problems all the time with harassment. Because the way that his name works, people just make fun of him. So let's go over into the Unblu management UI, and we can see that, okay, maybe with that name he might get harassed by people, not wealth management, those people are all high class, they wouldn't, but you know, retail banking people would harass him. So this is also something that really happens with our real customers, and where we said, okay, let's do something. We can change the names being displayed to the customers being different to the names we're displaying to agents. So we could change it to only show the first name or only the last name. But again, I'm not sure this is going to work so well here. So sometimes you just want a different name altogether. So he actually likes being called Greg. So he can now basically just put his nickname in here as Greg, and it's important that customers will only see him as Greg now, but I still see him with his real name, because when I'm searching for him to invite into a conversation for some support matter, I want him to be here with his real name and not Greg, whereas the customers should be seeing him with his with the other name. So now if we switch over here one more tab, now I'm in the customer UI, and you can see the customer now sees his name being Greg, because that's the name that's being displayed to the customers, whereas I still have the name, his real name. And that's something that, again, it's a very small thing, but I think it just shows how important it is to listen to those things to, in the end, really make people happy and also make sure people don't get harassed and can work efficiently. Sometimes these things are more important than the AI stuff. It's because they can completely kill the day for someone. All right, so we were asking for a comparison of the current portfolio versus the CIO target. So again, we see the portfolio of Selina, and we can see the CIO target. We can already see cash and money market are down quite a bit, and we can see a gap analysis here. And actually, I can send this right to Selina over, so she can take care of that, and, well, not take care of it, but actually see it. Let's try this one more time. We're having demo day coming. Let me check one short thing here. Should actually be good. Oh, I'm actually on the wrong tab. There we go. Let's try it one more time. If not, then we're just going to pretend it was sent into the conversation, which is something really important, because the message that you can see here is not just a normal message that you would be used to in Unblu. It has a lot of formatting. It has actually a chart, an interactive chart, and all things working here together. And that's also one of the features that we're adding to the product, allowing us to basically give you the possibility to use any of these rich content features to really have a very rich experience between the advisor, but also the AI and the customer. And this isn't only about data representation, not only about showing charts and pictures and all of that, but it's also about data input. It's also about data flows. So with these new message formats, you're going to be able to put in forms and buttons and really drive a very complex flow exactly the way you would like to have it inside of a chat conversation. All right, so Selina loves the portfolio I just sent her, which she actually never saw, but we pretend that she saw it. And she would like, she's asking me for a particular suggestion of what she should be investing into. Now, this is again where the human intelligence comes in. So I see her portfolio, I see the gap, and I can now sort of ask AI to assist me in what to do. But I can write an investment proposal, or I can ask AI to give me an investment proposal, but here you can see this text here is already a longer text. This is me taking my knowledge about the market and everything I do as a wealth manager, and putting that into context of what the CIO says, what her portfolio is, and then again asking AI to support me with that. And then sort of that brings everything together. Now obviously I didn't want to write a long text like that, so I again used a shortcut, but generally I could put in here anything that I think would make sense and then ask the AI to support me on that. Then maybe just to quickly show, I had a typo here, so I just might delete that and write it again. But this also shows again the delete message capability that we talked about. So I can now decide if I want to delete the message for myself, if I want to delete it for everyone, or if I want to cancel it. So in this case, I want to delete it for everyone, which for me, it still shows it. I can actually still see the content. But for Selina, for example, she won't even see that I wrote a message. If I don't want her to, we can configure that so she can see that there was a message, but she can't see the content, but she could also see everything. Right, so now we have an investment proposal that she could have. Now, I cannot do the sending into the conversation for whatever reason, but I can still copy this over. And another thing you can see while I'm copying this over and sending this is that it's actually a rich text message. And that's also one of the things that where we got feedback, also especially from private banking, that it would be great to have more rich text when we are entering messages with the customers. So now we have some rich text editing capabilities here that allow us to really write nicer messages where we can use bullet points, etc. So that said, Selina would like, so maybe we just should have a short look at what actually we're telling her to invest into. That would be helpful. And while having a look into that, I'm seeing that this is an ETF that I actually don't know. So maybe I should quickly check. You give me performance details on that. So for once, I typed it myself to show you guys it's not faked. And while we are getting the performance details on that ETF, she already is telling me that she's not interested in it. Well, that's good. So I don't have to read them, but it's still good for me, maybe for the next customer. Okay, good. So I will, I'll write it myself. Okay, let's go with that then. And I will go ahead and make sure that we now prepare the actual investment. So this involves both having a KID and making sure that everything is ready and prepared. So again, this all flows really well basically with what Santiago was just saying in terms of doing the stuff myself that I am capable of and that I'm good at, and then doing some stuff in the AI where it's good at. And sometimes the AI is good at something and sometimes it's super slow. In this case, it took a little bit longer, but those are also things that we've been looking into, and we are looking into also improve the performance. So in this case, now I get some overview about this ETF, which we already know now that we're actually not interested in. So let's instead get the KID and the pre-trade documents. So again, here we could now connect a PDF agent, like Santiago mentioned, that could prepare the documents that we can then send into the conversation. In this case, we haven't gone that mile, but we want to show the data right here. So we're going to get some of these things here right as a normal message. So I could send them into the conversation as a normal message, and then go through those together with Selina. So we have the product we want to invest into, and we have the details about the key features. And again, I would normally just send those into the conversation, but because of this thing being broken right now, I'm just going to send her a couple of things right here, where she would typically then go through confirming the KID with a real document, etc. She's very fast at reading and already reviewed everything. So we would now execute the order. Now, obviously, I'm not going to execute the order because that's something I don't do. That's what the assistant is for. So I'm going to ask Yushi, I'm going to switch over to an internal message. Can you please take care of the order? And because Yushi told me she takes care of it, she's still sort of available for these sort of tasks. She would be doing the order, and she would send me a message that things are around, and with that, I can then go back and write a message to Selina and say, okay, the order is confirmed. Now, we're pretty much done here, but there's one thing that when I initially started the conversation, and I looked over her contact details, I saw that there's a couple of things open. So one of the open tasks was the mortgage refinancing and the options to discuss that. And we see that she has some mortgage here, refinancing coming up in 12 months. So I could ask her here, is the refinancing something you'd like to tackle now? And then we could also go into that topic, sort of going back to what we've talked about earlier and seeing, filling those gaps. So yes, she would like to talk about this, but yeah, I would also agree, I don't want to take care of this. Hakan is also supposed to earn his money somehow. So I'm just going to leave him a message. Hakan, please don't forget about send it internally. He's going to be pinged, and then whenever he comes back from vacation and has finished his parties, he can take care of that. And with that, I think I can say bye-bye to Selina. And we can finish our conversation. Now, what I would like to do is I would just quickly like to look at one or two things that we saw happening in the background here, because if you see like stuff going back and forth between an assistant, that's always sort of a black box, and we don't know what's really happening. So maybe we could go back to the slides, perfect, and see what's happening. So we have an advisor. In this case, the glasses are still right, but the rest is different. So that's not me. But we have an advisor talking in a conversation to the customer, and they're utilizing an AI assistant. And this is very much really down the line of what Santiago was showing us. So the AI assistant is connected to an LLM, but the important part is that most of the information that's relevant in this conversation is not within the LLM. So part of the relevant data is within the Unblu product. So we know the customers, we have the conversation history, all of the messages that have been shared between Selina and Hakan previously. We have analytical data about the things happening inside of Unblu, and we can connect all of those things to our AI assistant and give him access to that. And that's already very helpful. With that, we can already sort of say what has been said, what are the relevant topics, etc. But we are still missing more information. We don't have any access to the bank account or anything else around Selina that's important for us as well. So the second thing we connected to this AI assistant are these external MCP servers. And this is what Jens mentioned. the Model Context Protocol, the MCP, basically allows us to connect additional external information sources into our AI assistant. So in this specific example, we connected Open Banking API. We connected SharePoint that was holding some of the information. Here we would typically also connect, let's say, for example, the CRM or MCP. And we, in this specific demo, we also connected a stock information portal so we can get information about the stocks and investment proposals. So this basically puts in the picture that tells us, okay, we have an AI assistant, we can connect it to several MCPs, provided sort of globally or provided very specifically inside of the bank. But then again, some customers will say, you know what, we have our own AI teams in the bank and we want to do our own stuff, which is also very valid. So in that case, what we do additionally is we ourselves expose an MCP server that gives access to all of the information within Unblu that then you can again integrate into your bank AI agents, which you can then integrate into the Unblu product and surface them. So you can say, look, I want to take the out-of-the-box solution right out of Unblu, AI assistant, connect external stuff to it. Or you can say, look, no, we want to build our own thing. Both possible. Again, through the MCP protocol, you can get all of the information out of Unblu and then use our APIs to integrate into the AI assistant. And you sort of have any option that you want that you can pick from. So this is sort of the starting point, but this is definitely not where it ends. And to talk more about that, I'll hand back over to Selina.
Yes, that it's only a starting point is the right keyword. So what you've seen today are all of the AI capabilities that we have worked on in the past. And now going forward, all of these capabilities and the journey that we will continue with AI, we will be bundling under ARIA. ARIA will be the orchestration layer that we will add to Unblu so that we can make sure that all of the AI services play in harmony together. Now, ARIA won't be just another tool that we add to your ecosystem. It will be a unified framework that brings together all of the different AI capabilities that you want to surface as part of the customer engagement. This will contain all of the current AI capabilities and all of the capabilities that we will add going forward. Now, we've heard in the morning that AI and the capabilities that we have with AI is evolving extremely fast. So we can't exactly predict what are all of the additional capabilities that we will be in the position to add to our platform in the future. But what we've seen is that with the integration that we offer to Microsoft Copilot Studio, this is not enough, and it is especially not enough for all of our customers. We want to be able to provide you the orchestration layer directly integrated into Unblu so that you can define and design the flows that you want to have supported with AI. And with ARIA, you'll be able to supercharge your teams. It will allow you to boost productivity, give you context-relevant information when it's needed, and exactly this orchestration layer. The productivity topic has already been brought up a couple of times during the different presentations today. And with the conversation summary, we've shown you one of the use cases that we're actively working on right now. The goal here is that we can take away the annoying tasks that the advisors don't want to do. So here we're thinking about an AI agent or service that listens into the conversations and, for example, detects tasks that need to be followed up on after meeting and autonomously assigns it to the relevant team or the relevant person who has to do the task. We can think about enabling real-time translation during calls and many more. And the beautiful thing is that as the use cases evolve with Aria integrated into Unblu will be in an easy position to add those use cases for you so that you can bring them into production in a fast manner. Now, the context David has already touched upon, and I think we've all made the experience that AI creates the most value when it has access to relevant and reliable data. And with the conversations being in Unblu, we can prepare the data from these conversations in a way so that it can be consumed by an LLM. And with that, we can ensure that advisors and agents can get context-relevant information when and where they need it. And with that, we can make the conversational data that you have in Unblu a strategic asset. And then comes the orchestration part, which I think we've also already touched upon. We want to avoid that AI only covers standalone use cases and work in a fragmented way. You should be able to leverage the entire ecosystem that you have in place and be able to connect the different services and tools that you use within your organization and surface all of these capabilities to your teams where they work and interact with the customers. And here is where Aria can orchestrate a seamless experience for all user journeys. Now, very specifically, what we will be adding to the product in the future is two things on the orchestration side. The first part is the flow builder, where you will be able to design your individual flows connected to the services that you want to. You can even define which LLMs you want to use to power those use cases, to orchestrate all of the different services. And the second part will be a marketplace. Here we will make available kind of pre-built agents or services that only with a few clicks to configure the agents to your use case, and you can then launch it into production. So here's, for example, where we could make available the portfolio chat from LeanFS, as we have just seen before. Now, important is that the conversations, they remain the core of Unblu. But we can make the conversations that happen in Unblu smarter, more efficient, and more meaningful. With Aria, we can make sure that all of these AI services, that they play in harmony together along the user journeys that you want to support. And with that, we can free up the time of your teams so that they can spend it what matters the most, in building trustful and long-lasting relationships with the customers.